Alright guys, how's it going? Modern Musket here. So today we're going to go over one of my firearms that I had built out. And this is my second take doing this. I did this about a week ago. I was getting over some really bad allergies. My voice was worse than usual. So I decided to scrap that video. We'll just do it again, which is fine. The rifle we'll be going over today is my AR in 7.62, as I'm sure you could tell by the ridiculously shaped magazine. And we're going to go and show clear. I understand YouTube's new algorithm, right? Or not algorithm, but their some of their things that they're pushing right now in the gun community. And I don't care. I think it's important to show safe operation of a firearm. So I'm going to do that regardless what they think about it. And let the powers that be decide if the video decides to stay up, is deserving of staying up or not. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. Reasons for being. Why did I put this together to begin with? Well, I wanted a rifle that was capable of taking down hogs, and I was going to set up as a night vision budget-friendly option. So what I'm thinking about titling this video is going to be budget rifle or budget night vision rifle setup. The thing about night vision is that a lot of people get put off of it because the price is high. I mean, there's no way around it. It's going to be expensive. If you want night vision, you're going to pay a penny, and it's going to be a pretty one. So where I suggest spending that money at first is, of course, your tubes. First thing I ever got, which everybody says is a mistake, and I agree, it was a PVS-7 setup. Not great. You get no benefits to having a PVS-7 over PVS-14, so you may as well just go that route, which is what I have now. I sold that to pay off my car, and then I saved up again and got a PVS-14, so that's what I have now. It's a monocle, so it only goes over one eye. Works fine. Some people, they have a hard time, their brain, configuring it to where it looks like it's over both eyes and make it to where your left eye or your unaided eye and your night vision monocle sort of merge properly. Some people have a problem with that. Me, I don't. So honestly, I might not ever get binos. If I were to, that'd be awesome. But I'm perfectly fine with my PVS-14 right now. So don't let anybody tell you you have to get monos or you got to get panos. Like, get whatever you can afford to start with. But I wouldn't go digital whatsoever. Digital's just a no-go. Get some green phosphor tubes. And if white phosphor is what you want, save up for some white phosphor. It'll be a little bit more expensive in the short run, but it might be easier on your eyes. Some people are also sensitive to the color. Anyways, that's not why we're here today. I got that, and I needed something to complement it as a rifle setup. So I was thinking, what can I do to make an affordable night vision rifle setup? And I sort of veered off from that at some point during making this rifle, but overall it is still a budget night vision setup. So with that being said, we got to add out of the way. Why 7.62? You know, it's really cliche and it's kind of cringe to have an AR in 7.62. And here I am holding one that I had put together. Reason for that was hogs. In Texas, you know, we got a big hog problem. There's no natural predators out there to a hog, and the only way to take care of them is with human intervention. They cost over $10 billion annually in Texas alone with agricultural damage. So it's very important that we do our part to help mitigate what damage they cause. So I am doing my part. 5.56 does do the job, but I wanted something that was a little bit more ethical. Even though they are pests, I do want to take them ethically. So I decided 7.62. I was considering an AR-10 platform, but that would have been much more expensive, which is sort of defeating the purpose of this whole build just right off the get-go. And if I'm going to get an AR-10, I'm going to get it in 6.5. And 6.5, I'm not sure if a lot of you know this, I believe the cheaper ammunition for it is $1.25 if you're lucky. So rather than doing that, I decided just to go 7.62, get some steel case, and you know, just call it a day. It's a very capable round. It's coming out of a 16-inch barrel, so I'm still getting decent velocities. I chose a 16 because one, it was cheaper. You can get them pre-made all the time, which is what I did, or pre-made, pre-assembled upper. And that's the route I decided to take. It ended up being cheaper in the long run, and in all 50 states, as long as you can hunt with a necked down cartridge out of an AR semi-automatic platform, then you can hunt with the 7.62. As far as I know, make sure you follow your locality laws before you decide to go hunting with 7.62. But where I'm at in Texas, perfectly fine. So that's my reasonings for having the rifle. I wanted a cheaper budget night vision setup and also a caliber other than 5.56 that could take hogs. So now let's go ahead and get into the nitty gritty of the gun. We'll start off with the upper first, and we'll move into the lower, into more of the nitty gritty. And then we'll go into the night vision stuff last. We'll save the best for last. So I've already mentioned it's chambered in 7.62, and it's a 16-inch upper. Now the upper was completed, less the bolt carrier group and the charging handle, from Radical Firearms. They're not known for amazing products, but they are budget friendly and they do work. So take that for what it is. It's a budget build. I decided that would be sufficient enough for me, and it's been working flawlessly. I do have about 500 rounds through this, so I haven't been working it as hard as I could have been, but I mostly did this for the accessories. And I do plan on going on a hunt. I believe it's next weekend, yeah. So I'll be able to give a sit rep on that, or I might even get some video. I don't know. It's sort of up in the air what I'm gonna do with that right now. But 16-inch barrel, got a mid-length gas system. No, I'm sorry, carbine length gas system, and it's got a heavy H-bar barrel, you know, a heavy bore. So it is thicker. It will retain zero better, but I'm not doing anything super accurate. Everything I'm gonna be doing is within 100 yards. Probably have a feeder set up for a few weeks before I decide to hunt, and then pull the feeder the night of the hunt, and they'll be coming out ready to eat and just unload on them. Got a what's it called, the Bog tripod I'm gonna have up front. The Death Grip model seems pretty nice. I'm waiting on it to come in still, but that'll allow me to rest this monstrosity on it, because it is pretty heavy. I'm not sure if you can tell, I am shaking a little bit. It is very front heavy because it is a 16-inch barrel. I got a bunch of accessories on there, ounces equal pounds, and it is a heavy contour barrel. So overall, decent setup. I was really hoping that all these cutouts on it were gonna be M-LOK compatible, but sadly it's only compatible at the 3, 6, and 9 o'clock. All these other cutouts are just lightning cuts. You can't fit M-LOK in there, it's just too narrow. So that's fine. A nice thing about the handguard is that it does have these indexing points on there. So on a mil-spec upper, it just sort of hugs it on either side of the upper. I know Geisley and I believe LMT is their own version. They got an indexing cutout on their rail that integrates into an upper receiver of their design. And that's one way to do it. Radical decided to go this route. You can take any of their handguards, put them on any mil-spec upper, and it would work. So I do like that. Came on the gun. It was all gas and everything, no problem. I didn't have to do anything with that. I went to Aim Surplus. I got this charging handle. It was only $5.95. Knowing what I know now, I've had a T-bone charging handle before. That's why I opted for the extended latch. I wouldn't recommend it, honestly. Go ahead and save up, get a Radian Raptor. I do have one. I love the thing. I've never had any problems with it. What sucks about the extended latch is that whenever it's on your gear, or if you don't have gear on whatsoever, it is either punching you in the sternum and it's rubbing and it's really uncomfortable, or it gets snagged on your gear, and say you're walking, you got a little bit of prep in your step, right? You can actually disengage the latch, and now your charging handle is free to move if it so chooses. Excuse me. So it doesn't require too much force, and yeah, it sounds a little gritty. I haven't cleaned it in a while. I've had it kept up in the safe, but T-bone charging handle I wouldn't recommend, but $6. At that point in time, I was trying to do a budget build, and so the bolt carrier group, I went with a Bear Creek Arsenal. Also a budget company, not something that people think of when they think of top tier, but it is budget and it works. I got the bolt carrier group for $70, and I forgot to mention, I think I got the whole upper for 170, 180, something like that. So we're pretty cheap right now. We're on the cheap end. We're doing good so far. And it came with the dust cover and forward assist. Things I didn't care to have, but they came with it, so why not? Now this lower, we'll go ahead and skip down to the lower. Lower I got from Big Tex Ordnance. I live not too far from their shop in Conroe. So I went ahead, I bought a lower through them. They had them on hand. I just filled out my transfer paper, not transfer paperwork. What the hell is it called? Your background check. I went ahead, I filled that out, and I gave them some parts that I had laying around. This is a BCM Mod 3 hand grip. It's very comfortable. I like it. I have a Magpul, what is it? I think it's a K2 grip. It's just really, really slim, and it doesn't fill my palm very well. So I opted for the BCM on this one. I've heard great things about it, and sure enough, it is perfect. It fills my palm nice. It's a little bit thicker and beefier than the Magpul. So if you find that you're not super stoked about how your Magpul feels, I would recommend giving BCM a try, whether you get the Mod 0, 1, 3, I don't know if there's a 2, I'm sure there is. But I got that, works great. Nothing wrong with it. Got a Magpul enhanced, the hell's it called? Trigger guard on there. You know, no problems. It swoops down, so you do have a little bit more room in there for finger play, if that's your thing. Also got a CMC trigger in there. It's a really nice trigger. We'll go ahead and do as Grand Thumb does, and we'll ghost it. I can tell you that's 3.5 pounds just about. That's what it's rated for. We'll go ahead and do the let off. And it does have a pretty big let off, but once you're ready to pull again, you're already there. And something about a lot of these more precision triggers is that you can't put them in safe most of the time if they have not been cocked. So you have to charge your weapon, and then you'll be able to put it all the way into safe. That's, you know, sort of something that aftermarket triggers are plagued with, especially ones that come in their own little contained unit that are drop-in triggers. It's not ideal, but like you just saw me do, I charged it whenever there was no mag in the firearm, therefore there would be no no ammunition. So henceforth we're good. As long as we don't put a magazine in there, we know we're good. I got a 45-degree safety selector throw in there. It is a Strike Industries. I got the whole lower parts kit for like, I think 35 bucks, because I got the one without the fire control group. So it was really cheap. It did have a ambi selector on there as well. I didn't specify that when I gave it to him to put together, because at the time I didn't have all the parts to put a lower together. And it's much easier if you have a vise block and a vise and just everything that goes with it. And at the time I only had punches, so I wasn't going to sit there and try to fight it with it moving around a table. So I didn't specify. They put the delete in the right side. Not ideal, but also I don't know if I would have enjoyed the other one because it was a full-length selector, so that may have bothered the living hell out of me. But either way, it's fine, it works. 45-degree throw, I recommend on any build that you do. 45 is just so much better. I have the Geissele Maritime Bolt Catch. So for those who have never messed with one before, that is a definite like must-have on every build that I put together now. So whenever you are charging your weapon, you can engage your bolt catch a lot easier with this larger paddle on the bottom, and it doesn't get in the way. And then whenever you need to drop your bolt, if you get on a empty mag, you need to drop it, you slap the top of it, which is a much bigger surface area. It's much easier to hit, and it hasn't gotten in the way of any kit that I've put on. So I definitely recommend that. That's a must-have on every build of mine as well. Excuse me. MSRP is 30 bucks. I will never spend $30 on a bolt catch. I've gotten it on sale before for 15 bucks, and I think the most I ever spent was 25 shipped. So it was probably somewhere around 20 bucks, $5 shipping. Got it sent straight to me, no problems. So I just refuse to pay $30 for a bolt catch. Not saying it's not worth that, but hell, that's the whole reason why I don't have any forward controls components either. That's just some of the pricing these companies ask is just astronomical. It's just so overpriced. Now, going to the buffer tube, it is an Aero Precision buffer tube. I believe it's mil spec, nothing too crazy. It did have a carbine buffer and spring in there. I found it wasn't optimal for this because it is shooting 7.62, which is a little more stout of a cartridge than 5.56. I know they're both intermediate cartridges. You don't need to go in the comments and start trying to roast me, but it is a 16-inch barrel. It is a carbine length gas system, and it is a little bit more potent of a cartridge, whereas the carbine buffer tube was optimized for 5.56. So I opted to get a heavier buffer tube, and I just went with the H2. It's fine. If I need to get better springs, which I might eventually, I'll put some Springco springs in there. I just haven't really run into that issue yet. I just don't want the internals getting beat to living hell, because after all, that would really suck if I waited for 3 hours for some hogs to come out of a clearing. And as soon as I see them, or come into the clearing, but as soon as I see them, my gun breaks after 5 rounds because I don't have this gas properly, or I haven't done my due diligence to make sure the rifle is in perfect working conditions as I can possibly make it. So I put an H2 buffer in there, forgot the company name. I picked it up from Big Tex Ordnance whenever I came back for something else. I forgot what it was. I don't know. I came back for something else, and I went ahead and I got the buffer while I was there. Now, this stock, I really love it. It's a BCM Bravo stock. It's the exact as a SOP mod. It's just they took off the battery tubes on the side. It makes it a little more streamlined. And also, who the hell puts batteries in their stocks nowadays? To me, it's just not a super optimal place to put your batteries, especially if you're going to clunk, clunk, clunk back and forth in your stock. So I'm actually happy with this, and I'm going to get a Bravo stock on every single firearm that I build from here on out. I might try that Reptilia Recce now that I think about it. That stock's pretty awesome. Here I have a Citizen Gear Company sling. I really like it. It came super, super long. I didn't have to cut it down, but I did, and I just burned the ends. But this sling is awesome. It's Coyote, and I got a dark chocolate mocha brown color as the pad. The pad is minimal, so it's not super bulky and thick like some of those other ones. I'm not going to name any names. I'm sure people know about them, but it is perfect. It's a little bit more than a Slingster, which is Faro Concepts. It's a little bit more padded than that, but it is not bulky by any means. It is super nice and comfortable. I can get on my gun. I can transition if I need to into the other shoulder, and also I can extend it and shorten it. So if you're backpacking and say you need to hurry up and get more length on your sling, you can extend it so you can at least go ahead and use it. And once you're ready, you can transition and put your arm under it and get out of your sling. So I really like that. Sling's great. Just some GrovTech QD sling swivels. Nothing crazy. Over here on this side, I got a Fortis QD sling attachment point. It is captured, so it is captured anti-rotation, whatever, so it won't move on you. So however it is you set your QD, say I set it like this, it will not rotate. I'm sorry, I'm a little far away on that. It won't rotate. So I can take it back out. I'll set it back the way I had it, in line with the rifle. Will not turn. So I really like that. What else? I guess we'll go ahead and start on the optic now. This is a Sig Sauer Romeo 5 XDR. Don't ask me what all that means. I totally forgot. But it is their budget red dot. At first, like I said, I was going for a budget build. I wanted an optic at the time. You can totally do without it in the grand scheme of things. But it is a red dot that has a single 2 MOA dot, or you can get you can change it because it's already in the system. You can change it to an EOTech-esque systems where it's a 2 MOA dot with a 65 or 62 MOA circle around it. And it works in daytime, that is. It's no big deal. It has plenty of adjustment for night vision settings. Although I found using it at night, it would not work optimally. I couldn't see through it unless I used my IR illuminator to get so much light in front of the rifle that I can actually see through the glass. The glass just isn't that clear for nighttime shooting. So if you're looking for something for nighttime, honestly, just get an EOTech. I have an EXPS 3 3-0, and just get that. It works great. It's a good height. Of course, you can get risers. I also have a Unity riser. I haven't tried that setup though. I have that for a different build for a different day. But I did throw the EXPS3 on here just to try it out with my night vision, and man, it's just night and day difference. The reticle is much more fuzzy than this because this is a red dot. Red dots will always be more crisp because they're LED based, whereas holographic sights is just a projection onto a lens. I'm not going to get super into it. I'm not super clear on how in the hell those work exactly either. It's just a bunch of just bouncing back and forth of the holographic reticle onto a surface, and that's what you're it's a projection that you're seeing, so it's fuzzy. LED much more crisp, but you have to have crisp glass to go along with it to make it a good night vision optic, and this just isn't it, Chief. But it does have a shake awake feature. You can set it to where it's always off and you have to physically turn it on, or the shake awake. And the shake awake's really sensitive. I've never been able to outrun it, so it works great. But the buttons are really mushy sometimes when I'm trying to turn off the optic, or even turn it on sometimes. It's so mushy that it doesn't engage the button and I think I'm clicking it, or sometimes I'll click it to turn it off, and instead of turning off, I'll end up setting up the brightness. It'll just keep trickling up. So you have to sit there and finagle it. So if you plan on using this in some sort of serious situation, just leave it on the MOTAC, which is what they call their shake awake. But just leave it on that setting. It'll be fine. The 0 is fine. It's on that. It's on the upper real good. It doesn't shake. Haven't had any issues with it loosening up, and also it does come with a riser, which is on there currently. So it does work just fine, but it's not optimal. So what next? Got some index clips from LaRue. Love these things. They're great for routing your what's it called? Your plugs, and just keeps everything together a little bit better. These index points right here, I wanted them all touching and in a row, but I ended up getting a 9-inch plug for my Unity hot button right here. So I had to bring it through the Picatinny up top. And the reason why I put one in the back is so if this ever falls upside down on an uneven surface where there's rocks and just jagged edges, there's less of a chance for it to hit my cable there, because that would be the death of the Unity hot button if that were to happen. Not saying they're not robust, but cables are the weakest link to any switch that you have, and it is best to do what you can to protect them. And also, what's really nice about these index clips is, obviously, I set this up to be optimized for night vision. If I have my PVS-14 on, I'm not going to see too well in front of me, and if I have night vision on, it's probably dark enough for me to have to use it. So I can just put my hand on my rifle. As soon as I feel those index points, I already know exactly where I am. Then my, wow, bad voice crack. Then my trigger finger, or my left hand pointer finger, I would put it on my finger stop, and I would know exactly where I am. I'm set up exactly where I need to be on my rifle. And as soon as I index on my rifle, my left thumb would be set up to where I can easily manipulate my hot button. The hot button is a great light switch, and I can do momentary on with my white light, or I can do constant on with a click. I can let it go, or I can just hold it and also have a constant on until I let off. So I really like it. There's good crenulation on it, so I'm not going to accidentally turn it on. I have to deliberately put my finger inside that area and push on that button. If you do momentary, it's silent operation. If you want it constant on, there's audible click, an audible click when you turn it back off. So I really like that. What you saw me move out of the way here is a 100 Concepts flashlight cap. I'm sure everybody's seen it on social media at this point. Well, what it is I'm going to click the button constant on now, so you know I've turned it on. You can't see the light. And if I turn it around, you can see a little bit of light. You see a little bit of light bleeding through the end of the tail cap right there. Possibly. I don't know. But as soon as I remove that the lens cap, you can see it was on the whole time. Reason for that is that if I'm hunting in this scenario, if I accidentally hit that button and I have that cap on, I don't want to give myself away to any animals. They're not going to see me. I'm not going to give myself away with a blinding white light and scare them all off. So I can have that on. If I'm going up to an animal that I've already shot, then I'll be able to move it out the way and I'll take care of it. Now, is this optimal to have it right at the muzzle? No, but that's the way I set it up because I have a short Scout 300 style of setup here. So I got a short CR123A battery body, which is made by Reptilia in tobacco color. It's a really great body. It's a unibody design, so there's no mount that interfaces with it. It is a mount itself, and it is super strong, structurally rigid, and I would trust that thing to be thrown up against a brick wall and still function. On the back, I have the Surefire UE tail cap. That's a $50 part. I've gotten them on sale for $30. The Reptilia body, I think it's $110, but every once in a while I see them discounted, but not often. Then the Surefire K1EH, let me double check, KE1H, yep, head is only good for CR123A batteries, or what is it, 16650? The smaller battery, yeah, 16650 batteries, I believe. So it is a more limited output, but for my use, it's perfectly usable, and it's a little bit more compact to package. Now on the left side, I have a Mod Light, setup. Well, no, it's Arisaka, excuse me. I got so many different lights, it's hard to keep up with them all. It's an Arisaka 600 body, so it's a legacy system. Still works just fine. And the EX IR 700 Malkoff light. So it's a infrared light, so you can only see it under night vision. But it is LED illuminator based. So when it comes to LAMs, laser aiming modules, you have those guys, those really cool PECs and in-gals, all in malls. Everybody knows the mall on their weapons. Those are laser based. So whenever somebody turns on that laser or the illuminator, they're laser based, so you cannot see it with the naked eye. With the LED illuminator, it is obviously, as the name suggests, it's based off of LED. Whenever you turn it on, you'll actually see a red light or a red hue emanate from where that LED light's coming from. So you can see it just faintly with the naked eye. So I'm gonna go ahead, oh man, I hope I don't mess up my phone like this, but nothing there, turn it on, you can see that red for a second. I just turned on the IR illuminator. So I just flashed infrared light right at that camera. I'm sure it's probably fine. But it's great, it's really high power, not as much as Mod Light's top of the line one. I forgot what it's called. It's like I think it's the 850, something like that. That sucker's way too bright. This one's borderline. I tried making my own homemade diffuser cap. Didn't work out the way I wanted, so I'm waiting for Villain Systems to just make one. But the reason for me getting a higher output one was so this is a 16-inch barrel. It's capable of decent distances, and it is for hunting. I can't guess what situation I'll be in for every hunt, but I can at least set up my stuff in order to be better prepared. So I wanted something that could reach out far enough if need be, but I also didn't want something that's gonna just bloom all the particulates in the air and make it to where I just wash everything out in my PVS-14 and I can't see. So that's why I went ahead. I went with the EXIR 700 from Malkoff that Arisaka sells on their website rather than the Mod Light. The Mod Light 850 is more output, but especially if we're talking about hogs, there'll be sand particles in the air, and if it's a cold night, your breath, the gases from the gun even will get illuminated with your IR lighting, and it'll just make it so hard to see. So you'll just be shooting, you'll have to constantly move and sidestep and start shooting again. It's just a pain in the ass I don't want to have to deal with. That, of course, you're going to have to deal with it to some extent, but I'm trying to mitigate that as much as possible. That's why I went with that one. And on the back, I have a Mod Light tail cap on here. It's a push button. The reason why I went with a push button on the left side is because I am right hand dominant, so my left hand is going to be forward on my handguard. I can actuate my white light on the right side of the firearm with this button, which is constant on or momentary. That's why I went with the hot button. But then also I can do a momentary or constant on with this tail cap on the left side of my firearm, which is easy for me to get to with that with my left hand. And then also got these flip up iron sights here by Midwest Industries. I believe these are Optics Planet exclusives. They are full metal assembly. There's no plastic on them, no polymers. I love that. They are in Magpul FDE. And whenever you heard me click it up, I'm sure you heard the click. So it clicks down, also clicks up. It has a detent in both the up and downward positions. They look very nice. They are very robust. And it takes quite a bit of force to overcome that detent. So you're not going to accidentally bump into something. They're just going to go back down. It takes quite a bit of force. And there's no buttons to have to fiddle with to get them up or down. And with the way I have the Romeo 5 XDR set up currently, it's in the lower 1/3. So I can still see through my optic and see my irons if I do ever use this for daytime hunting and I'm not using the red dot for whatever reason, or if shit just hits the fan and this is the rifle that I'm nearest to. So I have all that out of the way, and forgot to mention my IR light or illuminator is mounted with a 45-degree offset mount from Arasaka. Great mount. I tried using a Reptilia on this side, but it was just getting too bulky. It reminded me of like the Star Trek, what's it called? The Star Trek ship, the Enterprise. It was just way too far off the sides. It just looked totally ridiculous. It was way too bulky. I wanted to bring it in a little bit more, make the package a little more narrow. And that's exactly what this did. So great setup. It's just fine the way it is. I guess let's get to the most interesting part of this whole build, this finger stop. So this finger stop right here is made by Viridian. It's a HS1 hand stop, or finger stop is what they call it, excuse me. It's an FDE. And what's so cool about it is that it's an IR laser. So having lasers on your guns is nothing new. You can get them pretty cheap. Chinese made lasers all the time. Excuse me. This, however, is in the infrared light spectrum. So it works optimally with nods. You can't see it with the naked eye, so you wouldn't be using it for that anyways. But I can use this for infrared. I can adjust it for windage and elevation. And I can use it under nods. It's really inexpensive as compared to laser aiming modules. And I can actuate it with just my finger. So say I'm looking down the sights or I'm just at the hip, I can hit that button, which I am now, and there's a laser shooting out of this currently as we speak. Now you're not going to see it, neither am I, but whenever you hit that button, it actuates and it stays on until you take your finger off. It only stays on as long as you're holding that button, which does suck. There is no constant on feature, but it is a very tactile click. It is a very small button, so you do have to sort of pay some deliberate attention to it, but there is a tactile click, and whenever you let go, you don't hear another click. I'll bring it to you a little bit. Okay, and then I'll shine this towards the camera. Hopefully I don't shine it directly at it, but whenever I hit this button, okay, you do not see any red coming out of that laser, because like I said, this is a laser-based illuminator, so you won't see the IR, whereas this one's LED. You will see that red flash. So all in all, I think this rifle does what it needs to do. If you're going for an inexpensive setup up front, this does get heavy. This is much heavier than one single, depending on which laser aiming module you get, is much heavier. Although, depending on what laser aiming module you get and how fast you want it, and you're not willing to wait for a sale, you're going to spend a lot more. So my favorite on the market right now that is of the more affordable variety is the Steiner D-Ball D2. I really like that setup. It's a little bulky and it hangs off the side, the left side, but it does everything I need it to. It even has iron sight compatibility built into it. Not that that's a big deal, but it is pretty awesome nonetheless. Mauls, those are really cool too. Everybody's fanboying them over right now. I want one, but I'll be honest with you, there's so many other things I think I'd rather spend my money on than a Maul. It's $3,600. I think whenever they originally came out, they were 28 or 24, something like that. they've gone up significantly in price. The D-Ball D2s are now $1,800 MSRP, but I find them still pretty much all the time for $1,200 from reputable dealers. Of course, don't get it from anybody you found on the internet. Get it from a reputable dealer that actually deals with laser aiming devices. But this Scout setup is about $300 right there, the way you see it, maybe a little bit less. And the hot button's an extra $100. You don't have to have that. You don't even have to have the light in general for night vision use, but I decided to get that. This whole setup here, about $300. Now this IR laser, $150. Iron sights you can go without. You can go without the red dot. So all in all, to get started in night vision, really, you're gonna need to drop a couple G's on a night vision, some sort of head mountable setup. If you're going that route, of course you could get one that you mount to your rifle, but I recommend a monocle or binos for your helmet setup. So I'd get that. So a couple G's on that, and then a couple $100 on this, and you'll be good to go. You could go with Holosun and a couple other, I think Steiner makes some more budget-oriented laser aiming modules, but at that point you're looking at like $800. You may as well just step up to a D-Ball D2, or if you're really into it, the I2. I don't see the point in that one. I would just rather get a D2, a lot more output. But it does have a LED-based illuminator, so you're gonna get that red hue also. If that's a problem for you, you don't want to get noticed by anything you might come across, then don't get that one if it's that big a thing for you. But every other one on the market that I know of, that is from Steiner, B.E. Myers. Wow, what's the other one? Who makes the Engol? I don't remember. They are all laser based, so you won't have that red hue whenever you actuate your illuminator. But all in all, I mean, this is a great rifle. It does what it needs to. It's definitely a budget setup at times. I could have put a mil-spec trigger in there and not spent an additional, well, I didn't spend it. I had it laying around, but $150 trigger when I could have gone with a $15 one, it'd be just fine. But it's a great setup. I'm happy with it. Not terrible by any means, but it's not the absolute best either. If you want the absolute best, you're going to spend a lot more money. If you're wanting the absolute best, you probably already spent $15,000 on some really good top tier aviation grade tubes for your binocular night vision. And you've got the Wilcox G24 and a $2,000 helmet setup. I mean, then you're going to drop another $3,600 on them all probably. If that's you, great, have at it. This video wasn't really intended for you, but sorry the video is so long. There's just so much to cover, and I wanted to sort of explain everything. This video is more set up around the rifle and what it's used for rather than the night vision stuff. But I think it's really important that people realize they can get into night vision, at least on the rifle side, pretty inexpensive. So say you already have the rifle, you just need a decent set of tubes. You can get a single monocle PVS-14 for $2,800 easy, all day, every day. I ended up getting mine for $2,150 from Discreet Ventures, so shout out to them. But then you can get this for under $500, just the IR illuminator and the laser hand stock. And that's if you don't have some of these components already. So, sorry guys, I took a lot longer than I was hoping to, but I do appreciate your time watching my video. Hopefully y'all stuck around to the end. And I just want to say thank you so much for your time. I know it's been a long one, but you guys are the real OGs. So thanks, guys. Go ahead and put any comments you have in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe. Do all those fancy things that really help me out and building my channel. I'm trying to come out with a video once a week. It doesn't always work out that way, especially if I'm sick or I got really bad obnoxious allergies. I just sound ridiculous. But I really do thank y'all for sticking with me to the end. Y'all have a good one. Y'all take care.